Hello, hi, good evening, students. Welcome to another webinar in the series of Univariety webinars. So, students, this webinar was long due. We always wanted to do it because we've been flooded with queries by students on the University of Delhi and what to do for the best for, and that is why we decided to take this particular topic up. So welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Soumya and I will be your host for the day. Right, before I actually get on to what is best for, I will very quickly take you through the basics of what Delhi University is. So students, this university started in 1922 with just two departments, major departments, which were art and sciences, with almost 750 students, and the pioneering colleges that were at that time university were in Ramjas and St. Stephen's, to a different altogether world which is seen by us right now. It has got some 16 faculties, 86 departments, with over a few 4 lakh students. So that's a phenomenal rise and a great number. Right now, talking more about this particular university, what is it that it has to offer to us, the major courses that are there with this university. We've got a BA, we've got a BCom, and we've got a BSc. Right now, what is the admission timeline for this year? The registrations have already started. The last date is 7th of June. So those of you who've still not registered, please go ahead and do it. I have had a lot of mails and messages from quite a few of you who have gone on to say that I still think there's a month to get on with Delhi University and the forms to come. No, there's no time left. The forms are still there and you just have 2 more days to go. So please tighten your seat belts, right? Now, this being the admission timeline, the entire process of admission has gone online, so there's no offline procedure this time. And now I will be talking about what are 2 ways in which the admissions happen. One happens through the entrance examination, courses that will take admission through the merit. So what are the courses that will take admission through entrance examination? You will have courses in Bachelor's of Education, Humanities, Social Sciences, Multimedia, Business Administration, Management Studies, and then talking about the courses that will take admission through the merit. Those would be the basic courses that all of us know of and all of us are extremely putting in a lot of effort to get into. Yes, the humanities, BA, BCom, BSc courses that are there with us. So when we talk about admission to all of these courses, we know that the cutoffs are crazy, right? So how do we make the best out of those cutoffs? I mean, we have secured a certain level of marks. How do we present our marks to be the best? So I will be talking to you of a set of best of 4 and how do we present our marks, whatever we've gained, to be actually the best of what we have, right? So let's go talking about this particular concept. Now, students, the best of 4 concept, if we actually look at it, would technically go on to mean the 4 subjects in which you have scored the best. You kind of sum them out a percentage, and that becomes your best of 4 percentage. But then the Delhi University has cited a set of rules that we students need to follow to be able to, be at par with those who are applying to this particular university all over India, right? So when we talk about those rules, I will talk one at a time. I will take up one course, that is, I'll talk about a BA honors, and then I'll talk about a BA, and then I'll talk about a BCom and a BCom honors thereafter, so that there's no confusion, right? So right attention where we are talking about the very first course that we have, which is a BA honors program. Now, when we talk about a BA honors program, students, every program that will ask you to apply and will take admission basis merit in the Delhi University will need you to have one core language, right? Most of the times that one core language is English, right? All the students need to include their marks in one core language. Now, the second subject that will be a part of your best four when you're applying to a BA honors program at the leader, that subject in admission. So to study a BA honors psychology, should have rather preferable students prefer psychology in class so that I can go on and use those marks in my admission to Delhi University. What if I've not done that? What if I've not studied this level? I'll have questions. And then there would be two, academic or elect. Talking about that, what academic and choose as a part of your best four have been the university. It's called list. I'll show you this list. Those of you who are sitting with a phone, click a picture of this slide because we'll be referring to this particular list. Otherwise, you can just have a snapshot very quickly so that we can move ahead. So students, that the two other elective subjects apart from the subject that you want to study, that you want to do your BA honors in, which two other subjects should be from this list. Otherwise, also you will have to pay the penalty by getting your marks deducted. Now, what is the penalty? The penalty is that of losing a 2.5% from the. Now, how does that work? I have got a few so that I can guide you over this. If you look at a slide, example 1, right? I hope everyone is on the same page. Students, example 1, there is accountancy, English core and economics. Now, this student has now for this particular student, if I add up subjects, the percentage is 91, and since the student has in class 11 and 12, percentage for English is 91%. This student is not eligible, is eligible for a BA honors in economics. Student has not studied and has not passed a course in mathematics during class 11 and 12. When I say this, I mean that you just need to have studied in mathematics. It is not include mathematics in your, I hope I'm right. Now, a next case in taking this particular example, it is going to be what will be applies for a BA honors political science, but that the student has no political science in class 11 and 12. Therefore, from that is the total 91% that the student has scored, the student will have to get 2.5 deducted. Therefore, the effective percentage for this particular student to be able to apply to a BA honors political science will be an 88.5. I hope all of you understand this. Similarly, there's another example with us where there's a student from the science stream. The student has got physics, chemistry, mathematics, English and economics. Now, students, this particular student is eligible for a B in economics, right? Because the student has also, right? Now, case 1, if we look at the 4 subjects which are physics, chemistry, English and mathematics. Now, when the student is applying for a BA honors in history, the student will have to get 2.5 deducted. Why? Because history is not a subject that the student has studied. That's the first part. For a BA honors in English, the student will stay with the 93%. Why? Because student has already studied English. Wherein we are taking up marks for physics, we are taking up marks for English, we are taking up marks for mathematics and for economics. Now, here the student is available for a BA honors in economics. Now, see here the percentage that the student is getting is a 90.75, and with this particular person, now student is, with this particular percentage, he is eligible for an economics course. Two things. One, if the student to include mathematics, otherwise also say suppose you do not have enough marks in mathematics, then and if you choose to drop mathematics in best 4, you can do so and you can still be eligible for a BCom honors, for a BA honors, right? But you cannot choose to drop economics from best 4 in that case. If you are applying for a BA honors economics, it is suggested that you please go on and include a part of your best 4. Otherwise, you will have to pay that penalty of 2.5%. I hope I have made myself clear. All right. So this was the first course that we had. Second course that we need to discuss here is now for a BA program students, there are a different set of rules. First of all, let me just tell you what a BA program is. Now, a BA program is different from a BA honors program. BA honors is a specified study in one particular field. For example, in psychology, in English, in history, political science, etc. Right? All of that becomes BA honors. Now, when I'm talking about a BA program, students, a BA program is a tailored program where you'll have to study some 3 to 4 subjects, which will include one language, which can include 3 other electives or 2 other electives that you'll have to pick from the kind of electives that the college has to offer. For example, Gargi will need you to have at least 2 other subjects that it has to offer. You can take up a history, you can take up a psychology, you can take up a political science, whatever you want to, right? So that is a BA program. To be able to get into a BA program, you will have to take up one language and you will have to take up any 3 elective subjects from, let's go back, right? Kindly recall that you will have to take up one subject from list A. Now, there's another very important thing that all of you need to remember. It is for this program that have announced that they will 5% if the student chooses to. So, for example, if I am a science student and if I wish to go ahead and do a BA program, then in that case, there are a few colleges who have very clearly mentioned that I will go on and deduct a maximum of 5 marks from that student's total eligible percentage. Now, the upper cap for deduction is 5%. Some colleges have decided to deduct a 1%. Some colleges have decided to deduct a 2%, 2.5%. Some have also decided to deduct even 5%. So that stands as important for all of you to understand. In your stream, when you're applying for a BA program, those students, please be aware of this so that you can calculate your best 4 and that you don't and the cutoffs the surprise for suddenly. Let's look at a few examples for a BA program also. Say suppose the student has got accounting, English core, web designing and painting. Has got 5 subjects. We need to look at the best 4. Now you can also see that this particular student is a student of commerce and is applying for a BA program. The student will definitely go for a maximum of 5% of deduction from the overall percentage that the student gets. So when we calculate the overall percentage for the best 4, we have taken accountancy, we have taken English core, we have taken web designing, and we also have taken painting. Here there's also another, you can see that it writes effective pay program. For example, one is an 84.25. It has made 2 deductions. One is a 5% deduction, another is a 2.5% deduction. Why has that 2.5% deduction been made? So the 5% deduction is exactly for the for the change of stream. 2.5% deduction on the other hand, students, is because the student here has included 2 non-listed subjects. Let's recall that again. That list did not have painting with us, right? When you are applying to a BA program, including 1 non-listed subject from list A is still allowed. But when you include 2 non-listed subjects, you will have to pay the penalty for one of it. So the student had to pay the penalty of a deduction of 2.5. Hope you all understand this. All right. The second example where we have a history, English core, political science and web design. All of you can see here that this is a student from humanities stream, right? And this student is applying to a BA program and the student has just 1 non-listed subject, which is web designing. The student does not have any deduction anywhere and the effective percentage and the total percentage remain to be the same for this particular student. I hope all of you have understood. Right now, moving on to there's another course that all of you is the language honors course. Language honors course that is offered by Delhi University, is offered in a lot of Indian languages and a lot of foreign languages also. If in case you have studied that language in previous classes, that is class 11 and 12 students, you will have an advantage of 2%. Now, how does that work? I will show you through an example again, wherein the student has got various subjects which are accounts, English core, Punjabi elective, mathematics and web designing. Now, when this particular student will apply for a BA, this student will get an advantage of 2%. So you can look here in the example, the second calculation that we have done, wherein the student has secured a total percentage of 91.5, but the for BA honors Punjabi becomes 91.5 plus 2, right? Now again, when we are talking two cases where we have calculated the effective percentage for BA honors history, which is 1.5 minus 2.5, because again the student has not studied history in class 11 and 12. And when we are talking about BA honors in English, now why have we done a minus 2.5 in done a minus 2. Because we have web design, all right. Because again, if you look at BA honors in history also, we have deducted 2.5 twice. Once we've deducted, the student has not studied history. Second, including web designing in the entire calculation. Right now, moving on to brought after course that was, which is a BCom course. Again, students, for this also we will have to refer to two different lists. What are we talking about when we say that we'll have to refer to two different lists? There will be a list which is called C1 and there will be a list called C2, right? So I will take you through that. But what are the basics? If at all you are applying to a BCom or a program, students, to a BCom honors program, you can only and only apply if you have mathematics with you in class 11 and 12. That's the right. For BCom courses, you can apply without mathematics as well. That's not going to be any problem. But when you're calculating your best score for BCom or BCom honors, here is what you need to follow. You need to have one language from part 1 of list C1. Now, list C1, part 1 contains, I'll show you. What does it contain? I'll keep on taking you back and forth on these slides. So, list C1, part 1 contains 2 languages, right? So, I will keep on referring to this as Hindi and English so that we do not get confused. Let's try it again and have a look at what does the other say. So, part 1 of list C1 plus 3 out of part 2 of list C1. Now, what do part 2 list C1 contain? What does this particular part contain? This particular part actually math studies or commerce, economics, basically subjects from the commerce background, right? So this is the primary requirement. If you have subjects from the commerce background, things are all happy for you. What if you do not have? So there's another clause for it. You do not have these subjects, what happens? The way of calculating is that one language from Hindi or English, any out of 2, and any combination of subjects out of part 2 of list C1 or list C2. Now there's another list which is called C2, which is, I will tell you, a common list of subjects you usually have, which will include physics, chemistry, biology, history, political science, etc., etc. All of these subjects. I'll show you list 2 for your reference, right? So I will take you through that also. But when we are talking about the kind of reductions that will happen, so see, students, if you've got subjects from the C1 list, I've already shown you list C1. So if you've got subject from list C1, there will not be any deduction for you. Understood? If you have got subjects from list C2, for M list C2, you will have a deduction of 1%. If you do not have some of the lists, neither list C1 nor list C2, you will have a deduction of 2.5%. Simple? All right. So now I will take you number 1 through list C2. So for once, this is list C1, and then I need to take you through list See, as I told you, it has got all the common subjects that we study usually class 11, 12, botany, philosophy, geography, statistics, political science, history, legal studies, chemistry, computer science, etc. Right? So now, how will these examples work? How will we calculate? Let us have a look at the examples. Now, here we've got example number 1, where the student has got physics, chemistry, English core, and mathematics. So this student is eligible for a BCom honors, right? So when I'm talking about this particular, we'll have to include physics, we'll have to include chemistry, English, and mathematics is important for calculation of best 4. Mathematics is also good if the student is included. This one has also scored well, right? So better include, right? In this case, the student has got 2 subjects which are from list C2. So for each subject, all of you can see there's a 2 into 1%. So 2 subjects, this physics and chemistry, there has been a deduction of 2%, and the student has lined it up at a 91%. There's a calculation error here in a 91%. Right, apologies for that, but yes, there will just be 2%. Understood? Right, now when I'm talking about example 2, accountancy, English core, Punjabi elective, mathematics, web designing. My God, can you see that the student has got non-listed subjects here which are not there too, right? So we'll work our way out accordingly. Okay, so here the student has gone case 1 total marks. He has included accountancy, he has included English core, the student has included Punjabi elective, and the student has also included web designing, right? So it's calculating up to a total 5%. In this case, since there are 2 subjects that are not listed in list C2, therefore, which are those 2 subjects, Punjabi elective and web designing, therefore the student of 2.5 and again 2.5. All right, so this is how things will work. Let's look at very quick the second case which is there. Right here, when the student is including accountancy, is including English core, is including mathematics, and is also including web designing. So the student is not included Punjabi elective in this case. So he'll just have a reduction of 2.5, right? So when I'm talking about the here, you can see that history, English core, political science, philosophy, web designing, but the student does not have mathematics. This one cannot apply for BCom honors. Right, whereas the other 2 who had mathematics, the example number 1 and example number 2, they had mathematics, right? They could have applied for BCom honors despite the fact they might not have included mathematics in best 4, right? So example 3, history, English core, political science, philosophy, and web designing. When this particular student is calculating his or her marks, this particular student will have an effective percentage. So this student has totaled a percentage, but the effective percentage for a BCom course in this case will be the student has got web designing and the student has got political science and history, which are kind of web designing is not even there in list C2. History are a part of list C2. The subjects that are a part of list C2, the student will get deducted 1% each, and then 2.5 for web designing. I hope I've made myself clear. Okay, now moving on to the next one is a BSc program. Students will need you again. Now BSc honors is what the university has got to offer. So you need to have science subjects. That's what the basic is. So English, I mean one language basically, which usually happens to be English. So 1 language is plus 3 other science subjects is what the calculation needs to be like, ideally. But again, there is a certain kind of combination that you can have or you cannot have. So there are a few examples. I'll just read out a few ones. So for example, let's begin from the bottom. If you have want to apply to a BSc in physical science or applied sciences, you can go on to have a physics are mandatory. You can have either course out of chemistry or computer science. So you can in your best 4 include either chemistry or computer science. Similarly for geology, there are not a lot of takers for a BSc geology, but for those who really want to do something in geography and geology students, you must know that you need to be from the science stream. So you need to have a physics and a chemistry and you can have a geology or a mathematics or a biology or a biotechnology or geography. It depends upon you, right? So such is the kind of arrangement that has been made. And don't understand. All right. The thing that you people need to understand is calculation of marks, right? However, most of the boards will go ahead and give you a 70-30 divide. That is 70 marks for the paper and 30 marks for the the practical component. There are a few boards that like to divide it. So students, your marks will be converted into divide, even though in your have scored by the basis of a 70 for a 60-40 divide, but then your marks for DU admissions will be converted pro rata basis, and that is how it will be calculated. So how is it converted into pro rata? This is the formula. So you have what you have scored upon the total marks. So say 15 physics, out of 50 upon 60 into 70, and my converted into the pro rata marks, which will be preferably out of 70. Similarly, if in my practical component I've gone on to secure a 40 on 40, so I'll do a 40 upon 40 into 30, and then I'll add both the marks, and that is what is going to count. I hope all of you understand. All right, this is how the marks for your science admissions will be included. And when I say science admissions, please don't limit the conversion of pro rata marks only to the science subjects, because a lot of humanity have got a practical component. So for students who might have in their curriculum, some boards also have practicals in geography. So for that also students, this will be converted. Similarly, computer science has a practical component. The marks will be converted in case the marks are not as per the 70-30 component. All right, I hope I have made myself clear. Right. So students, while I have spoken to you about all the calculation of the best, now these are the trends that we have observed through the past few years, and these are just a few colleges, 5 to 6 colleges to name, right? The trends have been changing, and BCom has been extremely, extremely demanding as a course when we talk about it, right? But then there are always the second and the third lists that do get released, right? And that is how you people kind of hold your hopes high when you have the second and the third list. Another reason for you to kind of up your percentage is the sports and the extracurricular quota. Now students, the sports and the extracurricular quota that is offered now, for those of you who would have already filled up the form, for those students, very important that you people must have already seen that you people have this thing have either in the 7th or the 8th or the 8th or 9th column of the application, you will have the sports and the EC quota wala thing, right? Otherwise, for those of you who not, I'm telling you that there is something called this, and you have an advantage of 5 to 15% that is offered for various activities at various levels and at various colleges, right? So you'll have to check, students, you'll have to check now sports and sports quota as well as the EC quota. When I actually talk about different colleges, sports and different extracurriculars, right? So you'll have to check which college is offering which sport and which extracurricular. It is all there in the Delhi University bulletin that has come out this year. So you can go ahead and check there. In case you have a problem, you can come to us and talk to us about it also, right? So students, once you apply through the sports or the extracurricular quota, you will, in case you qualify, you will be called for trials, right? There are two sets of, one is the preliminary trial, the other is a final trial. Similarly, for the EC admissions also, you have what trials, you'll have to attend that, right? So it has been said that it is best that you go ahead with certificates for the past 3 years. That is what is going to matter a lot. So you will have to go ahead with your certificates that you've collected for the past 3 years in that respective extracurricular. to be able to make the most out of that particular and to gain the maximum. Now, you want to apply to Delhi University, I don't think I really need to convince you for that, no doubt. But then yes, there's equal opportunity for a lot of societies, for a lot of extracurricular also, and for a lot of exposure. There are competition fests, etc., to talk about that have got legendary stories attached to them, and you get to be a part of them. Right, your first year, that will be your first-hand experience of it. To get into DU. DU elections are one of the most important unions across the country, so that also becomes one. And yes, go to Delhi, talk about food, have some yummiest food on the earth, and have a good life there. So that's how Delhi University will probably be treating you, and that is probably why Delhi has also gained name reasons, right? Now, a few things before you actually go on to apply that are going to help you. Number one, basis the past cutoff. Students, make a list for yourself, right? The past cutoffs are available. Otherwise, to get hold of them, please go ahead and you can come on chat. You know how to you set up a list of colleges for yourself, right? And make a list of colleges for yourself so that you are eyeing at the proper college. You do not waste time making speculations. You also need to fill the form as soon as possible. For those of you who've not, please do it now, right? Once the cutoff list is out, you need to visit the college of your choice. You need to lock the seat. You can lock the seat by paying the fee. Actually, there are a lot of formalities, documents that you will have to provide the college with, and then lock your seat, right? And yes, obviously filling up the form correctly is very important. So yeah, this is what I talk to you and tell you about. I know a lot of you will have a lot of questions, and I will try and take up a few questions. I don't know how many of those will I be able to, but okay. All right. So, Ishwa Arora, I'm so sorry you were not able to connect. For those of you who were not able to connect, students, a recording of this will be available for you in the next maybe 1 or 2 days, right? And it will come on your mail. So, just in case you've missed out, and I'm very sorry for that. In case you've missed out, please make sure that you listen to the and you go ahead with it. All right. Please share the important slides. As I said, Supti, these slides will be there in the recording also. You can access it there also. Please brief about physical education. Ishwa, physical education is not a listed subject, so it will have you, if you include that in your best 4, you will have a 2.5 deleted. So why would you want to include that, right? Supti, with the IB students also the case is same. All right. So in case you, so you will get. So there is a format by which converts, right? And that format, you are not able to access that format with us on chat, and we'll help you with it. When did you join? So I'm very sorry. And yeah, we did. Yes, this is viable for the sports quota colleges. Shivam, do you have the bulletin? If you do not have, I will go to your university, write down a email to us. If you had also, in that case, you can come and chat, and probably we can help you out there with the PDF and the document, right? And so you people have a lot of. If I start answering all of them, that will be. I'd rather suggest is all of you, please go ahead and talk to us on chat, or you can write to us at webinar@univariety.com. Otherwise, write to us at guideme@univariety.com, right? These are the options you have, and we'll be happy to answer. Missed out, please try and connect with us over the chat so that you do not miss out on anything else. And those of you who wish to apply, please go ahead and apply. Do not waste any more time. It's already 4th today. 7th is the last date for registering yourself for the Delhi University.